The Bowie-Knife ghost of the old State House, Little Rock, Arkansas. In Little Rock, Arkansas, there stands a building that has witnessed the unraveling of human ambition and the echoes of conflict long past. The old State House is not merely a relic of history, it is a vessel of memory, a place where the floorboards still seem to remember the weight of their burdens. It is said that within its walls, the past refuses to fade entirely, and one particular event lingers still, casting a shadow over the present. On December 4th, 1837, the air inside the old State House crackled with tension. Arkansas, a fledgling state, was still finding its footing in the tumultuous realm of politics. The capital was not yet a symbol of order, but a battleground for ambition, pride, and resentment. The building was alive with the voices of men who carried with them the weight of their constituents, counties, debts, and personal honor. On that fateful day, Speaker of the House John Wilson found himself embroiled in a heated dispute with Representative Joseph J. Anthony on the House floor. Accounts of their quarrel vary, with some linking it to a wolf-scalp bounty measure. But in that moment, the specifics faded into the background as the argument escalated, igniting a firestorm of emotions. Words meant to govern and persuade turned into weapons of accusation and insult. The tension in the room became palpable. In a blur of rage, John Wilson drew a Bowie-Knife, a weapon that belonged to the rugged frontier, not a legislative chamber. It was a gesture that shattered the illusion of civility. In that instant, the House floor transformed from a place of debate to a stage for tragedy. Wilson plunged the knife into Anthony, fatally wounding him. The silence that followed was deafening, a witness to the blood spilled not just on the floor, but upon the very fabric of Arkansas's nascent government. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Wilson was expelled from office, cast out for his heinous act. The state could not allow such a breach to remain unpunished. Yet the legal proceedings that followed, his trial and eventual acquittal, only deepened the wound left by the incident. A life had ended in the very heart of governance, and justice felt anything but complete. In the days that followed, the chambers of the old State House resumed their functions, but the air within them had changed. The blood that had stained the floor could not simply be wiped away. The building had absorbed the violence, and as new legislative sessions unfolded, they were accompanied by whispers of unrest. The memory of that fateful day clung to the walls like a shroud, casting a long shadow over the proceedings that took place there. As the years turned into decades, the story of the Wilson-Anthony stabbing transformed into folklore. The old State House, once a vibrant seat of government, became a museum, a place where history was curated and displayed. But the ghost of that violent day remained, haunting the very spaces meant to embody order and civility. Staff members and guards began to report strange occurrences. Footsteps echoed in empty hallways, doors creaked open without a hand to push them, and patches of inexplicable cold settled in corners where no draft should reach. As night fell and the last visitors departed, the atmosphere shifted. The old State House became a different entity, one that seemed to breathe with the weight of its history. The silence was not merely absence, it was heavy with expectation. The polished floors and shuttered doors held their breath, as if waiting for the return of the unresolved conflict that had once erupted within their confines. In those chilling hours, the stories of the hauntings became more vivid. Staff would speak in hushed tones of a dark figure, a shadowy form, dressed in the garb of another era, glimpsed at the edges of perception, forever retreating before certainty could grasp it. This was no horrifying specter, it was a remnant of a time when politics took a deadly turn. The presence felt less like an intruder and more like history itself, unwilling to fade into the background. Yet perhaps the most profound hauntings were not of sight, but of sound. Those who wandered the empty halls late at night would sometimes hear the faint echoes of activity, footsteps pacing along the corridors, the sound of a door opening or closing, the distant murmur of voices rising and falling, as if the debate had never truly ended. Such sounds struck deep, for they did not simply resemble the bustle of government. They echoed the tragedy that had unfolded within those walls. A guard standing still in the stillness of the night would find himself straining to listen. He knew the hour, knew who remained inside, yet the sounds persisted. The creaking of the floorboards underfoot, the whisper of a door moving as if guided by an unseen hand. These were not mere figments of an overactive imagination. They were the building remembering its purpose, haunted by a past that could not be erased. The old State House reminds us that history is never truly settled. The violence of December 4th, 1837, did not remain confined to the pages of dusty records. It infused itself into the very architecture of governance. Each room, once a space for deliberation, morphed into a site of lingering grief and unresolved tension. The memorialization of the past is not merely a matter of dates and names, it is the recognition that the echoes of violence can reverberate through time. As the years have passed, the old State House stands as a testament to the fragility of order and the haunting presence of that which cannot be forgotten. It embodies two histories, the visible realm of polished exhibits and careful displays, and the invisible realm of footsteps in empty rooms, cold spots that defy explanation, and sensations of being watched by an unseen presence. The story of the Bowie-Knife ghost of the old State House in Little Rock is not just a tale of tragedy. It is a reminder that the past is always with us, lingering in the shadows of our institutions, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be felt. In a place where the promise of law was once stained with blood, the ghost of that promise remains. It is a ghost that cannot be exorcised, a reminder that within every legislative chamber, there exists the potential for both order and chaos, and the haunting becomes a part of our collective memory, an echo of a forgotten quarrel that refuses to be silenced. Read the full story at AmericanGhostStories.com.